Wow, thank you very much, all of you, for staying, and what an introduction. You know, it's incredibly humbling for me to be up here just when I look at the legal giants who have won this award before, and then, more importantly, to share the stage with the other recipients. Alistair and Annette, I am so moved by both of you. And Annette, if I ever think I'm having a bad day going forward, I'm going to think of you. You have motivated me. You are so special to have that attitude, and all of us are blessed with your presence. Thank you very much. As I thought about what I might say today, I looked at the the hashtag for Consumer Watchdog. 3 words: expose, confront, and change. And as you've seen from all the videos, they do it on a big scale. They do it the best, statewide, nationally, in a lot of different areas of consumer protection. I've tried in my 26 years of practicing law to do the same, except I do it on my individual cases, most of which are insurance bad faith cases, HMO cases. But it's not just about the case for that client. It's about establishing patterns and practices and things that affect other HMO and insurance company consumers. And as Mike said, we are nothing without our clients. We exist for our clients. And I thought about the 26 years I've had and what clients I wanted to invite, and I can't talk about all their cases, but clients like Larry Stone and Linda Delapelle, John and Kim Columbaro, Ted, Shima Andre, George, Bonnie Sturgis. I won't go into the details, but these are all individuals who suffered at the hands of insurance company, HMO, and employment abuses. And they had the courage to not just stand up for their causes, but to take those causes further, many of them to trial. They exposed wrong conduct, they confronted it in trial, and changed it, most with punitive damage verdicts to change practices, change medical policies. And I want to ask them, they're sitting here at table 41, I want to ask them to stand and please be recognized. These are true heroes, ladies and gentlemen. I know that particularly with the initiative on medical malpractice that Consumer Watchdog is taking on, I wanted to talk about the case that's mentioned in the video, the Perez case that I tried last year. I was asked by my good friend Steve Heinberg, Marcia Barr, and Jeff Mitchell to join them to try that case together, which we did over 3 months in Fresno. Yes, 3 months in Fresno. And I don't practice in the area of medical malpractice, but this was an incredibly eye-opening experience for me for 2 particular reasons. First of all, the facts in this case are not normal, they are extraordinary. Silvino Perez went in for an open heart surgery, not an urgent or emergency, but an urgent surgery. And after 7 hours of surgery, which went well, by the way, the doctor left Silvino with his chest open on the operating room table. Not just the operating room, he left the hospital to go to a business meeting and have his PA close the chest. Turns out that was a practice he did before, but as he was driving to that business meeting, he got not just 1, but 2 phone calls that the patient was bleeding excessively. Instead of churning his car and coming back, he kept going to his business meeting and ordered blood products over the phone. And we could put this together with the phone records and the medical records, connecting the dots. By the time he got to that business meeting, 31 minutes away from the hospital, Silvino Perez had a heart attack in the operating room where he had never left. Now, the best place in the world to have a heart attack, if you're going to have one, is in the operating room for open heart surgery, because guess what? There's a machine there, a heart and lung machine that will keep you alive and do what your lungs and your heart will do. Trouble is, you need a cardiothoracic surgeon there to put it on you, to get it together. And they desperately tried to do this while Dr. Chaudhry, 31 minutes later, gets back, gets him on the machine, does 5 hours of further surgery, saves his life, and today, Silvino Perez has a perfectly beating heart, but he lost so much oxygen to his brain, he's massively brain injured. So that is not a simple oops or a negligent, but one of the most astonishing things to me in doing this is the cover-up. After this surgery happened, there was so much investigation. It was a white-hot spotlight on what happened on April 2nd, 2012. They knew this doctor had propensities. The hospital was investigating. The state was investigating. They interviewed everybody, reams and reams of reports. He was reprimanded 6 months later. And do you know what Chris Arteaga and his family were told? We're sorry, but your father suffered a known complication of open heart surgery, excessive bleeding. Which is true, but it left out a whole big part of the story, that there wasn't a doctor there to deal with it. And it wasn't until a year and a half after this surgery, you know how the family found out? They got an anonymous call from a whistleblower who said, you don't know who I am, you need to hire a lawyer, what happened to your father should not have happened. And it was through that process that we were able in trial to do what Consumer Watchdog does, expose, confront, and change, because he's no longer practicing medicine in the United States. The second reason that case was so astonishing to me is that the jury we had a claim for punitive damages. So it wasn't just that the jury found the conduct to be negligent. They further found that his conduct constituted malice, oppression, and fraud. For those of you non-lawyers, that is defined in the law as despicable conduct. Conduct which is so vile, base, contemptible, miserable, wretched, or loathsome that it would be looked down upon and despised by ordinary, decent people. That's what the jury found. Yet after the verdict, we still had a debate about whether that conduct should be given the protection of a micra cap. And that's just wrong. Now, thankfully, with the briefing of Jeff Ehrlich, we had strong arguments to combat that, because micra was never designed to protect conduct like that. But it was a real threat, and the case ended up settling before the judge could make that decision to limit that verdict to $250,000. So I want to stop here. I want to have Chris Arteaga please stand and be recognized. Chris. Thank you, Chris. And of course, not every case is the Perez case, which has extraordinary facts. Good doctors make mistakes. But it's the victims that have to live with those mistakes, many for the rest of their lives, such as Annette. And, you know, I thought about this, and there's a value we have in society that everyone in this room would agree with, everyone in the country would agree with. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a liberal, or a conservative. Everyone who's an American agrees with this principle, and that is we should all be responsible for our own actions. And when we get involved in many of these cases, it's because somebody is not taking responsibility for their own actions. And the reality is, with the micra statute the way it is, $250,000 in 1975 hasn't changed in 44 years. Many of these cases result in wrongdoers where you cannot hold them responsible for their actions, and that simply needs to change. So I applaud Consumer Watchdog's efforts in making something happen. And I want to close by thanking some important people in my life. First, I've been truly blessed in my life in really every aspect of having love and support, both professionally and in my personal and family life. Professionally, I've had two of the best mentors you could possibly have, Mike Bidart and Bill Chernoff, who taught me the importance of earning a solid reputation by trying cases and having a passion and doing it honestly, ethically, and with civility. So Mike and Bill, everything I am as a lawyer, I owe to the two of you. Thank you very much. And then I have a lot of friends and family who have come in from a long distance. I want to thank all of them. And then in particular, my office. None of this can happen without the support of an entire team. And I can't name everybody, but to all the lawyers, paralegals, secretaries, staff at our office, each one of you owns a piece of this award because it can't be done without you. Thank you very much. I will share a story on the first day I worked in the office as an employee. I had clerked for 2 summers before, and then I showed up first day. I was waiting for bar results, September 1, 1993. And I walked into my new office, and it was bare. There's nothing on the walls. It's a desk, a phone, and a chair. And sitting on that desk was one sheet of paper, and it was pleading paper. For those of you who are not lawyers, that's when you see the court documents, the ones that have the numbers on the left-hand side, and it's standard 1 through 28. And it's sitting there on my desk with a big red stamp, personal and confidential. And the 2 number 28s are circled. And there's a note. It says, Bill, why do we need pleading paper with 2 number 28s? Concerned, Mike. Right below that was a response. It said, Mike, I don't know. But my question to you is, why do we need Ricardo? Bill. I don't think Bill and Mike had anything to do with that, but anyway, true story. I mentioned my family. Thank you very much for coming here. And lastly, I want to particularly acknowledge my mother and father. As Mike said, they're both here tonight. They're celebrating 54 years of marriage this year, and as Mike said, my mother and father are both Basque immigrants who came here with absolutely nothing. Everything that they have, they earned themselves. They raised my brother and I on a dairy farm in Chino and taught us the value of a good work ethic, which has served both my brother and I well in life. And although my parents speak broken English, they come to every closing argument that I give. But in addition to a good work ethic, each of my parents who speak broken English, have no training in the law, have given me qualities that have helped me tremendously in my career as a trial lawyer. My father is the poster child of the American dream. Came to this country in 1955 from Spain at 17 years old with nothing. 3 years later, 1958, bought his first herd of cows with 2 brothers, 123 cows in Orange County, California. And fast forward of 61 years of business to today, he milks over 10,000 cows. And he taught me the importance of hard work, having a passion, not being complacent, being a risk taker, being respectful, all those good qualities. And then my mother, all 5 foot nothing of her, is the quadruple type A personality. She taught me the importance of attention to detail, which is important in this profession. And I'll share a story and then I'll close. I was in law school up in San Jose. I went to Santa Clara Law School, and I was staying in an apartment complex that had a gate to it. And my parents were going to come up and visit me my first year of law school. And this was before cell phones, so I told my parents, they're coming from Chino, it's a 6-hour drive. I said, we figured they'd get there about noon. I said, well, just call me from the payphone at Vaughn's across the street, and then I'll come out and get you and bring them in. So I'm waiting, it's 12 o'clock noon, no phone call. 12:30, no phone call. 12:45, no phone call. And I thought maybe they got jammed up. So I decided to go across the street to 7-Eleven to get a cup of coffee and come back. And I got back, and there's 2 messages. The first is from my father. You can almost tell he's like reading a sign as he's leaving the message. Ricardo, we here at the AM Mini Market. It's not Vaughn's, but I can figure that out. So the next message is from my type A mother, and it's a minute later, and it's, Ricardo, this is Ama, this is your mother, like I can't figure that out. And she says, your father didn't say it right. We here at the AM PM Mini Market. Attention to detail. So I'll close by saying it's very humbling to accept a Lifetime Achievement Award, but I got news for you. I'm still here and I got a whole lot left in the tank, baby. So, if you'll indulge me, I'm not going to accept this as a Lifetime Achievement Award, but I will accept it as a Half-Time Achievement Award. Thank you very much.